Hi Erica, how you doing? I've got your poster up front and back. This is really gorgeous. It's beautiful work. It really is. You should be very, very proud because your typography is really outstanding. And I think that at this point in the class, a lot of students they kind of put the typography aside and they say, okay, I'm just going to go for this really cool layout, kind of while forgetting what we've been studying for the last 2 months. So to see your attention to typography is really, really refreshing. Very, very nice. Okay, a couple of things I think are working very well, and I think there's a couple of areas working against you. One of the things I think is working against you is the fact that you've got several shapes on your page. Now, we addressed that at first on the front, and I still think that there's a shape on the front, and there's plenty of shapes on the back. Let me talk about that a little bit. And the shape I'm talking about on the front is the circular gradient that's revealing that pattern background, that textured background. Now, what I would recommend instead of creating a circle there is I would grade, you've got that faded out to a gradient, and that's great. It looks beautiful. It's very subtle. It's gorgeous. But instead of a circle, I would just gradate it from a central horizon line and gradate it out and up and down so that you're purple on the bottom and it gradates into the texture throughout the width of the composition. I'm going to tell you why I would recommend that, because over here on the back, you've got the same textured pattern, and that's great, but the problem is you can't use it as a circle here. So you can't continue what you've started here because you just don't have the room here. Okay, but you can do what I suggested. You can gradate that to purple to follow the continuation of the front. Okay, I also noticed that this purple is different than the purple here on this gradient. So if you're going to present your texture on a background, make sure it's consistent with the color of the background that you present the texture with on the front of the poster. Okay, typography on the front of the poster is absolutely gorgeous. I love it. One of the problems I'm having though is that you've got this, you have what amounts to centered alignment. I don't think we need that. I think, and as we have found out, basically centered alignment kind of, it kind of takes this negative space down here and it creates symmetry, and it just kind of creates a kind of a bland look to go along with this gorgeous typographic composition. Easy fix, Erica. Take your type, your subhead or your tagline, I'm sorry, just place it right there. I think it'll look great. Okay, let's move down to the next page. I think this is really good. It's a great continuation. Very, very nicely done. Typographically, it's gorgeous. You've got no widows. Your rags are pretty good. You've got a couple of patterns in your rag areas, like right here. See how this goes short and it goes whoop like that? And then this one does the same thing, whoop. You don't want those patterns. Actually, this one does the same thing, whoop. And what you want to do is you want to have, this is great rags right here. Short, long, short, long, short. And then even this is, you got a little pattern there, but you have short, long, short, long, short. Even that's pretty darn good right there. So, but the one thing you don't want to do is you want to avoid these like really long lines. These lines that are much longer than the other ones. Okay. The problem I'm seeing, I remember I said shapes. We've got those shapes, and you started a shape with the front and the circle. Well, we got these shapes here. And basically, what this amounts to is several rectangles and an oval. Okay, let's take a look. Got the gradient. There's a rectangle. Underneath the gradient, there's a rectangle. On top of the gradient, there's a rectangle. Over on the side here, there's a rectangle. The cream color for the background for the type, there's a rectangle. Then you have the circle. The whole thing is in a rectangle. Why is this a disadvantage? It's a disadvantage because these shapes all create subshapes in the composition, and those subshapes are basically amount to visual stops. So what I would recommend is this. I would recommend taking this, forget this whole side, purple side right here. I would use that purple here to just to be consistent with the front. Span the whole width here. Okay, gradate that texture background out. All right, now one thing I'm noticing is that this purple rectangle right here seems to be forced into the spot. It's creating some imbalance as we look at this. If we place a teeter-totter right here, we can clearly see that most of the weight is on this side of the composition, so it's imbalanced. I think one of the main things that adds to that is the weight of this big purple rectangle to the left of the composition. It's kind of obvious that the reason that the rectangle is there is to hold that T so that you can see that T, because if this color went across to the side, you wouldn't see that T. You wouldn't see, you would see, oh, hold on one second. So sorry about that. My mouse batteries ran out right in the middle of your critique. Okay, so as I was saying, this big purple block here, it kind of seems very obvious that the reason the purple block is there is to be able to see this part of this swoosh. This swoosh, the swash of the T. So without that purple color, this right here is going to be that cream color, and you're not going to see the swash. And to me, I think it's obvious that's why the purple block is there. Okay, what I would like you to do is I would like you to go ahead and try to span the background with this color and work this area out right here. Right now you've got a gorgeous 3-column grid, 2 columns of type, and then 1 column over here, but it's an even 3-column grid. Great. You've broken the grid up here to fit the timeline. The timeline's gorgeous. I really like it. It's very easy to read, very inviting. So I've got no problem with the broken grid on the timeline, but this image and this whole area right here with the purple block, that's my issue right there, is that area right there. I think that area needs to be addressed. Number 1, for balance. Number 2, for a good, solid, consistent, harmonious look between the front and the back. Okay, so that's what I have, Erica. Other than that, I mean, I think you're doing just gorgeous. And again, great job on your typography. I just noticed something else I wanted to mention. 2 things going on in your type. Number 1 is you're doing what's called clotheslining, and basically that means that you're let me Command R this, so we get your guide right there. So clotheslining means the top of your type aligns, but the bottom doesn't. So that would be hanging like clothes, on a line. And then skyscraping would be if your bottom alignment lines up and your top doesn't. Right now you've got some clothesline, which is fine, but I'm only seeing right here that you're missing a baseline alignment here by 1 line. For that reason, I would try to recompose this and adjust this so that these baselines and the cap line and the top lines align. I think it would be very easy to do. So think about that. And other than that, my only other question is, my only other statement is this drop cap. You've got to, let's leave that alone. Okay, let's leave that typeface for the name, and let's just select something else for a drop cap. Okay, do want to mention one thing. If you do elect to change the background color to a darker background color and use lighter color type, don't forget it would probably require to use a sans serif and to open up that leading and kerning consistently. Okay, but anyway, yeah, I think that's too much. It's just too much in relationship to the flourishy swashes of the initials over here. So I would go with a standard, try to find a different drop cap typeface for that. You could even use that typeface there. So, all right, great job. Thanks very much.